This is week 6, discussing motors. The type of motors we're going to talk about today will be split phase motors, PSC motors, which is permanent split capacitors, and shaded pole. What you see here is a split phase motor. Inside of it, it has two sets of windings. The two sets of windings will be the start winding and the run winding. But it also has a centrifugal switch on the inside of it, on this portion of it. This motor will start up with the start winding engaged, and once it reaches about 80% of its RPMs, revolutions per minute, it will disengage that start winding because it's no longer needed. If it stayed in the circuit, it will end up burning up the start winding because it pulls very high current. The parts of this motor, the outside of it, this is where the stator is at, where the coil on the inside of it is located. These are the end bells from here and also this side here. This type of motor will be called resilient mounted motor. It has these resilient rings around it. It's made out of rubber with a metal ring around it, and this motor basically will be supported by the cradle. The cradle is supporting it, and the resilient rings actually makes the motor very quiet because it absorbs the vibration and the noise from the motor before it sits into the cradle. So basically this rubber ring or resilient ring is supporting the motor but also insulating it from vibration and noise. Other parts of the motor, the shaft. The shaft goes all the way through, and it will have bearings on the inside of the motor. The bearings will basically support the shaft, and those bearings are basically mounted in the end bells, would hold it together. Now, smaller motors like this here, fractional horsepower, less than 1 horse, use bearings also. The bearings would come in different type of configurations, and this type of motor would have a sleeve bearing. Bigger, stronger, heavy-duty type motors will use ball bearings, and which can take a lot more stress. So this is a split phase motor. Doesn't use any type of capacitors or starting components. Another type of motor we're going to look at would be a split phase type motor. And this motor basically will use a run capacitor. This run capacitor designed to give a split phase motor a little bit more running torque. We call that a permanent split capacitor motor, or a PSC. So this capacitor is used to feed into it. It'll be mounted on the motor in a different type of way. I'll show you on another motor. A different type of motor we can look at, we could call this one has both a run capacitor and a start capacitor. This is considered a permanent split phase motor, but also start inductive run type motor also. So this is a capacitor start, capacitor run motor. This will use, like I say, both capacitors, one to help start it and one to help keep it going. Of course, this is resilient mount motor to the shaft, and got the cradle, we're supporting it. Other components we're going to talk about is, this is a start capacitor. This is the run capacitor. These are larger ones, but they can be used on motors and compressors to give it extra torque. This is used for extra starting torque, and this is used for extra running torque.